Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Math with Mr. W. And today we're going to talk about every student's fun stuff, word problems. Ladies and gentlemen, I can bet that every time you come up to this, there's a bunch of students in your class that just kind of get so anxious and they just go, but a lot of those students that are anxious are also very, very good readers. They're really good readers. Even though they may not be the best of your math students, they're really good readers. So that's what I'm going to emphasize here today. I'm going to emphasize a form that we're going to make things easier for you. I want your students to not give up on math problems. I remember having to do substitution for a 7th grade class once. And it was all about word problems. And I told the class on Monday, I said, by Friday, you will all love word problems. And they all were saying, yeah, oh, sure. But by Friday, they were. Because they had a strategy. They had a method for solving the problems that they were working on. And they felt comfortable. And that's what we have to do here. A lot of what we're going to do here is just bringing home some comfort. So let's take a look at a word problem. It says Bill and Maria own a rectangular property, 1,000 feet long and 600 feet deep. Approximately how many acres do they own? Now, it's not an easy question. I have a hint here. It says an acre is approximately 42,000 square feet. So everybody in your class isn't going to jump and go, oh, I know how to do that. Some of your kids may live on some property. Their family may own 15 or 20 acres. And they may understand exactly what that means. And they may have a clear idea of what to do. So, but let's take a look at how we can break this problem up, make sure that they're comfortable with the problem, even if they, at the beginning, feel anxious. So let's start. I have a 5-step process, and this 5-step process I'd like you to be able to use for all your word problems and make them use it. Don't let them off the hook. It doesn't matter how simple the word problem is or how difficult the word problem is. You need to have this process obeyed each time. So here we go. First step, of course, read the problem. And how are you going to know that they read the problem? You don't. Some students will just give up as soon as they see a word problem. But no, you want them to read the word problem. How are you going to know they read that word problem? Well, here's how you're going to know. Step 2. It says, write down the question to answer. Write down the question to answer. So we're going to write down the question to answer. So what is the question to answer in our problem? Not the whole problem. And here's the difficulty. Here, we have to look for the how, what, when, where, why. We have to look for that in the problem. What is it truly asking for us to solve? Here it says, how many acres do they own? And that's what your student has to write down. How many acres do they own? That's it. Put that down as a question. So they have it firmly understood what they have to answer. Think about it. If you don't know what the question is, how do you know how to solve it? So really, folks, really make sure they've written this down. And then you've also know that they've read the problem. So there's 2 points out of 5 in my 5-step process. They've read the problem and they've actually written how many acres do they own? The question that's being asked of them. Now we go to step 3. Step 3 is the strategy. What's my strategy? And here's where things start to become important for them as you, with more knowledge, give them ideas on how to solve problems. So this one, we can draw a picture. We draw a rectangle because it says it's a rectangular shaped piece of land, and it's 1,000 feet long, and it's 600 feet deep. So you can actually have them draw, and that's what this is. We're setting up a strategy. So we're looking at, okay, this is what these folks own. So that's my strategy. I kind of get the idea because that's going to allow me to figure out the square footage of their property. Next, I solve. So I can multiply these two things together, okay? And I get my 6, and I have 5 zeros. So I have a 6 and 5 zeros. 600,000 square feet of property that is owned by Bill and Maria. And that's the solution of my problem. I've solved it. Okay, but I don't have the acreage yet. I just have the square footage. I have to divide 42,000 into this number. And there again is the power of 0. Because I don't have to divide 42,000 into 600,000, because if I put 600,000 over 42,000, these zeros will factor. They will factor. 1,000 and 1,000 factor. So then 42 into 600 will give me my approximate amount of acreage that they have. So your students are really asked to solve 42 into 600. And when they're through getting that value, which is approximately 16, it's close to 16, we then have to say, okay, what is my acreage? We write in a sentence the solution in a sentence form that answers the question they wrote up here. Bill and Maria own approximately how many acres? Again, they read the problem, they write down the question, they set up the strategy, they solve, write the solutions in a sentence form that answers the question they've written before. So, take these 5 steps. Make sure your students use those 5 steps. Don't allow them to ignore any of them. And when you do, you're going to find your students feel better about word problems, and they're going to solve a lot more of them. Have a great day. See you next time on Math with Mr. W.